Hey everybody, it's Doom here. I'm in the 3.5 Monster Manual, and now we're on what I would call part 3 of the Lizardfolk. I forgot his damn javelins, but we have a shield, we have a homemade, well, both of them are homemade. We have a homemade shield, we have a homemade stone tomahawk. So now let's get down to painting them. I meant to put those away in between. Somebody get some white paint. And a makeup brush. Spread that evenly all over the makeup brush. And start finding texture. Now this brush wasn't quite soft enough, so all it's doing is smearing paint around. Okay. So what we're going to do is just rush through with this. And then we're going to get a different brush and do it. And we'll do a better job. Because we want to be able to see what we're working with here. Let me find something softer. Here we go. This is very soft. There we go. That's what I wanted. Something I didn't have to force down to get results with. We want to get in the cracks a little bit around his flesh. We can leave it dark around the deeper parts if we want to. That won't hurt us at all. Okay. Now I can see where I'm working with better. Okay. I'm pretty happy with him. So let's get a green. And I'm starting with a dark green called Arbor Green. And I'm getting my, this is just that Army Painter starter brush I use all the time. I didn't have any water in my brush. I usually put my brush in my mouth when I was talking, and I didn't. So we're just gonna paint him evenly with this all along his flesh. And don't leave it on here real thick. Spread it around. Take advantage of the natural shading we did with our dry brushing base coat method. Don't leave it on real thick. If you spread it around to where it's kind of thin, and you could water it down if you wanted to, really, but I'm not doing that. That's going to let you take advantage of some of those natural dark spots that we didn't get into with the white, naturally being a little darker. But on that same token, you can see some of the white spots on the sticking up part are lighter. But we're going to be dry brushing them down and getting some layers on them too. So don't panic if you don't manage to capture this part of what I'm doing. It's not a crucial part of the paint job. It's just something that you can do and you can think about, and it's just a technique. There are lots of techniques, and you guys don't need to get boxed in doing things exactly the way I do. You just kind of do your own thing and you'll be fine, I promise. Painting miniatures is a fun thing. It's not something that you have to be a professional at. It's something that you do to populate your table and make things nice for your party and for yourself. Something that you can look at and be like, wow, I did this, but you don't have to be a professional. You just got to be willing to step outside your comfort zone and try. And I've seen some really bad paint jobs that made me kind of snicker. But I also remember that one time I was probably that guy making those paint jobs that made other people snicker. And I'll tell you, the first miniatures that I painted were, I believe, Rao Partha, if I'm not mistaken. I think the very first miniature I ever painted was a chainmail knoll, actually. But I didn't even know what chainmail was And I don't think I knew what a knoll was either, honestly, because it was like, it was really expensive, and I hated to always ask for stuff when I was a kid. I knew that we didn't have a lot of money, and I didn't like to ask for anything. So it was kind of like, even on sale, it was expensive at this game store we went to. And my parents were like, oh, maybe you can get something here. And they didn't know it was for D&D. That's what I was looking for. They knew about war games, and they didn't seem to have a problem with war games or fantasy war games. They only seemed to have a problem with D&D. And I think it's because at the time on the news and stuff, they were really bashing D&D. Like, especially, you know, when I was younger and first started playing. Like, D&D, like, we had a priest at our church, like, actually talk about how dangerous D&D was, about how it involved, like, demonic rituals and stuff. And I was one of those kids that just made it more exciting to me. I'm like, wow, we didn't get into it like that. We didn't learn that part of it. I got to find this hidden part where we summon real demons. Of course, I was sorely disappointed by the age of about 12 when I realized that was never going to be part of my gameplay. I was never going to do any of that Solomon-type demon summoning. But I did. I really was excited when he talked about it. I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be insane. But, you know, kids. I guess it's no different than kids these days hoping Harry Potter shows up and takes them to Hogwarts, you know? Oh. Sorry. I have older sons, and there's been moments, okay? My sons that are adults now grew up during the Harry Potter craze. And, yeah, enough said, right? Some of you watching, looking at the algorithm and the statistics, some of you watching also grew up in the Harry Potter phase. And you probably know exactly what I mean. He's pretty dry, I think, good enough for what we want to do here. So now we're just going to get a really soft makeup brush. I mean, a really soft one. This one's like newer, so it's real delicate. It's still floppy as heck. And we are going to get a little bit of this Kelly green, which is a mid-tone green. We're going to wipe a lot of it off the brush. And we're just going to start painting them with it. And we're not covering every spot, and we're not doing anything fancy here. We're just creating variation in the undertone. And if you've been watching me at all, you know that variation in the undertone is one of my big things that helps you catch a better kind of finished product. Some people think it's a waste of time, especially because these are fast paint jobs and they're not like professional quality jobs. But little tricks like that that don't take long tend to be some of the best tricks for making a difference. I'm going to get one more dab of Kelly green and do that again. And it's going to lighten them up a little bit more. It's a chunky color. The whole thing needs thinned down. But for what I'm doing right now, it's pretty good. Okay. And let's just start getting a lighter base tone going that we can work off of. Make some of this detail really pop. It's okay if you get a little bit of this on the other parts right now. That's why we're doing this part first, because we can come back and work on everything else and get it where we want it. Okay. You can already start to see some of his musculature and stuff popping a little bit. Leaving the Kelly green in the brush, I'm getting a lighter color. This is called Palm Leaf. And it's just it's another craft paint, cheapy craft paint. I'm getting a dab of that. And I think I got too much. So I'm going to put some of that over here, and then I'm going to work it over here. Okay, here we go. There we go, something like that. And I'm not pushing, I'm just barely dragging it along and touching. Okay. I'm not trying to paint him, I'm trying to just drag it along and grab some detail. And look at his back is already starting to look pretty good. His arms are starting to show nice. his face. Okay. You're starting to see his fingers and stuff pop out as you look at him more. He's becoming more noticeably cool. Alright, I'm going to set that off to the side. I'm going to get the +2 hot air gun burning. Oh, that brush fell right down where I didn't want it to. Set it over there. So in the stat block for these guys, it does say that they can hold their breath for, I think it's 4 minutes per Constitution score. That's pretty insane. I just want to put that out there, that's next level powerful for breath holding. Now I don't want to accidentally dip this in and get too much, so I'm just going to put a dab on here. I'm going to grab that just carefully. And then I'm going to create a step down in the middle of this green that we just last used and get the look I want. And then we'll wipe that off. And I'm just going to drag it along the high parts of him, top of his tail, his face, his arms, and just a little bit across the top of his chest and his feet. Now we want to pay special attention to get his knuckles. And we're going to call that the win on skin. Let's get our little brush back out. Now let's get my workhorse brush out and let's do his base. Okay. And then we can probably do like the back of his shield for sure, maybe all of his shield really. And just use this as a base coat for a lot of this other stuff. All right. I just got it on his nose. So I just licked my finger and wiped it off quick. You gotta do that quick as soon as you do it. Okay. We could probably base coat his pants on the same color too, really. And the handle of his tomahawk thing there, his stone axe or whatever it is. Okay, let's do that handle. We want to get down inside this part here of the ropes pretty good, because that's not, we're not going to be able to come back and get that. We'll let him sit for a minute. I'm going to clean out some of these brushes because they're sitting in this water. And this is just hot water with soap in it. I usually use Dawn dish soap. Today I have, I forgot to take Dawn in there when I made my water. And it just, you rinse them in that soapy water and just kind of wipe them off, and then get them in the shape you want them to dry in, and set them off to the side is what you do there. But I have laundry soap in it today. That's okay. It's okay to try different stuff. I just forgot my Dawn and didn't want to walk back in here because I get lazy. Well, you can see the way I paint. I'm lazy as shit. And the few times I always forget, like not always, but the times that I do forget to put any kind of soap in here is when bad things happen. Like I'll rinse a brush out and forget there's no soap in the water, and there might be a little paint in there that didn't break up in the soap rinse, and the brush starts getting stained and it's not as soft anymore. And that's from not using soap in my water. And because I am lazy, that's no doubt. Like, I'm a lazy painter, I'm a lazy crafter. I don't want to spend my 15 hours of my life doing the perfect mini. All those browns should be dry. I'm just going to get my favorite color in the world, pavement, and that little tiny brush I've been using, my starter brush. It's not tiny, it's probably a size 1 really. So as far as small brushes go, it's really not that small. I used to have to do all this kind of stuff with a very tiny brush, like zeros and stuff, or fractional brushes even. And as you gain more brush control, even with like me having bad arthritis and my hand shaking and stuff and dropping things, I have enough brush control that I can still use a larger brush sometimes to get stuff done. And that's convenient, and until I get too bad to do that, I'm going to take advantage of it. And likely the time will come where I have to use smaller brushes and like mount stuff to paint instead of holding it like I do freehand. But until that day comes, I'm going to keep trying to do it the funnest, easiest way possible. So there's the stone on the handle. It came out looking pretty good. All right. And I have a new color I've been introducing lately that wasn't part of my regular repertoire of colors. It wasn't part of my smorgasbord. And it's called dark blue-gray or dark gray-blue. And I love it. It has been absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to a crappy brush that has a kind of a fanned out, beat up tip. And I don't remember how this brush started out when I first got it. It's got plastic bristles, and that means I'm not super concerned about how it looks. And this base coat, hopefully, this, not base coat, but this rough coat I'm putting over it will give it some different looks as time goes and as I dry brush it with one more lighter color later. Putting that away, getting elephant gray. Oh, I got a lot of elephant gray, damn it. We just want to wipe a lot of that off. Here we go. We'll just barely touch the rock, but we do want to give a little attention in here to this stone axe or tomahawk or whatever you want to call this. We want to get in here and we want it to stand out a little bit, you know. We worked on this and made it cool, and we want it to be noticeable that we did that. Okay. I'm pretty pleased with that. Now I'm going to get a medium brown. This is called, oh, wrong one. This is called melted chocolate, and I use this a lot as my mid-tone brown for a lot of things. And the first thing we're going to do with this is we're going to paint these ropes. But don't get it down inside and touch the handle. Just paint the ropes. Don't force it in there. That's what she said. I mean, hey guys, come on. Let's keep it PG. I'm just going to lightly drag this along that wire. And I don't even care if I hit every spot on the wire. Enough to simulate that it's brown is enough for people to say, oh, okay, there's a rope there. You don't need to be perfect on this kind of stuff. There's like a lot of these like are optical things where people just don't. It's just like if you take two letters out of a word. We're going to keep that color out. I'm going to wash that brush. And we're going to get a very beater, terrible brush. We're going to get this brown. Oh, I just dipped my finger in green. Son of a damn it. I'm going to get this brown. We're going to leave it kind of wet on here. We're going to touch around on the pants. Just grabbing some of the lifted up areas a little bit. And we're not fully painting this stuff. We're just hitting it. And then we're going to do the shield. I'm doing the shield a little more intensely. And then we're going to just hit some of the base with what's left on the brush to create some variation down there and interesting that up some. But we're going to be flocking it and other stuff too. So I'm taking that brown that I already have, and I'm just going to get a little bit of this gray that's left over, and I'm going to mix it with that brown. Okay. I'm wiping a lot of this off, and then I'm going to come back over the pants with that, hitting the higher spots where there's more light. I'm going to do the strap on his shield. I'm going to hit it with that a little bit along the back here, just to give it some interest, because we didn't do any texture on the back of the shield. Then I'm going to get a little bit more of that gray. Okay. I'm going to make a different kind of color. And I'm just going to hit the shield some with that. I'm going to get a little bit more of that gray. So we don't want this to be the exact same color as his pants. And how we can do that is just by mixing stuff around and making the base coat of it a little lighter. Okay. I'm also going to hit the handle a little bit. going to do the knees of his pants in that little bit lighter. And on the back there, I just put a smudge. All right, now we're getting one more lighter color of brown. This is called Territorial Beige. We're going to use the same area we've been working, and we're not rinsing our brush out. We're just getting a little bit of that Territorial Beige. We're going to mix it all up. Then we're going to wipe a lot of that off. And we're going to come back and hit his shield again. The handle of his weapon a little bit, just on the top parts where the sun hits it though. I'm grabbing those ropes, but I'm not hitting the gray. I'm just grabbing the ropes a little bit. And then I'm going to do the top of the shield extra good with this. I'm going to grab a little bit more and leave it a little bit wet. Okay. I'm going to touch the pants in a couple spots, just to break up the perfection of their paint. Okay. He's looking a little boring. I'm not sure how to spice him up at this point. So since that doesn't actually look like a turtle shell, it just looks like kind of manufactured shield, that gives me some ideas of what we can do. Let's get our little brush back out. I'm going to get this Cardinal Crimson. And I'm going to do the squares on his, the little shapes on his shield in different colors. Maybe his tribe has like a little decoration and this simulates it. Or maybe he just decided it looked nice when he was decorating his shield. Maybe they attacked a caravan and found red paint, and they all shared the little bit of red paint there was and decorated some of their stuff with it to look nice. You never know. You just make little stories up about why it's that way and then don't care what anybody else thinks. Alright. So for his base, I'm going to get this color called turquoise. And I'm going to go around the top outside where there's no dirt. And this is how I've lately been simulating swamp. It's a very dark color, or a very bright color, but it gives a distinct look that I kind of enjoy. So I'm going around hitting it with that first, and then I'm going to come back with a midnight blue, like a darker blue while it's still a little bit wet, and then break up how bright this is with that. So I got that turquoise, very obnoxious. Actually, I used Tuscan teal is what I used last time. So this is that mountain blue, like I said, and this is an ugly color. It's a little wet. I'm going to drag that around and break up how bright that is. I did this on Tuscan teal, not turquoise last time, now that I'm thinking about it. So if you're doing this and you have that Tuscan teal, that might be better. If you don't, you know, you can mix a little turquoise and darker blue and make your own Tuscan teal, really. Alright, there we go. I did not completely paint over that. There are spots where that teal is sticking through. They're not big and they're not super noticeable. I'm getting some black. I'm just going to use my craft black. Even though I always hate the way it paints on bases for some reason. And I'm just going to go around and do the outside of his base in this. Then we'll hit him with the +2 hot air gun of burning and a little bit of flock. Yeah, this paint always feels so chunky. The apple barrel. If you buy it in the little black bottle, like the normal size, like the small ones I always use, it doesn't seem to have this problem. But when you buy this big bottle, and I'm sure it comes out of the same factory and the same nozzle and everything probably, I would assume, I don't know. But Yeah, I don't know. It's just not the same. The last 2 bottles of it I bought were just not great. They're good for terrain and stuff, though, you know, or mixing it with another color or watering it down. But just using it straight out of the tube has not been ideal for me. All right, well, we're letting that kind of start to dry. Before I hit it with the +2 hot air gun, let's get a tiny little brush and figure out about his eyes. So what I think I want to do is get an off-white. This is called Mummy Robes. I use this a lot. This is a Army Painter paint. I love it a lot. I mix it with stuff all the time. I use it straight all the time. And I'm just going to paint his gross little eyes. I'm going to do a red dot. And depending on how pronounced that red dot comes out, I'm actually kind of doing it like a line, not a dot. I should have said I'm doing a red line. Now, I'm getting that Kelly green, which was the mid-tone we used, and I'm going to clean up his doofy eyes with it where I painted them too big. So all I'm doing is just a line underneath and a line on top, just to clean up the doofiness. All right, +2 hot air gun burning. Magic item's almost out of charges, I believe. And I'm going to grab my green flock down here and my clear glue and toothpick. You don't need much glue. For my next video, instead of doing what's next in the monster manual, I have a weird little miniature I want to paint for D&D tonight. To use as like a kind of a quest giver / sometimes helper. And I think that's what I'm going to work on next. I don't know if I'm going to do a video though, but I know that's what I want to work on next for sure. Okay. So just get your flock. Sprinkle it in. All right, and there's the Lizardfolk we made out of a Incredible Hulk and a dinosaur and some toothpicks. A little bit of super glue, a little bit of hot glue, and a little wood slat. This guy was not high impact. It didn't take us a long time to do it all together. I think it probably took us about an hour, which is pretty common for making and painting one of these from what I've seen doing this for as long as I have now in video format. You can do it slower or faster off camera, obviously. But that's my Lizardfolk, and he didn't turn out bad, did he? Wish I'd have got those javelins. That's the one thing I wish I'd have done. So anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. If you like what I'm doing here, hit like, hit subscribe, hit share, hit the notification bell icon. Leave me a comment. Please leave me a comment. I love answering comments. Join our Discord, hang out with us, paint, play RPGs, play video games. Show us the stuff you've been crafting. We have channels where you can kind of post what you're working on. We can all look at it, and it's interesting to see what everybody's working on. There's people that are doing needlepoint and crocheting and carving wood. It's not just miniature stuff. It's just crafting in general. We're just artists being artists together, and it's fun. I really like it a lot. So please join us and do that. And then last but not least, hit the website up. We got some discount codes. You can get a free mini. You can get a discount on your first month box of minis. Buy some minis from us. That does indirectly help support the channel because I do, I'm one half of Dungeon Swag. So some of that money eventually does trickle down my way. Not that it's going to probably go back to the YouTube channel, because the YouTube channel is just what I do for fun. I really don't want to mix business and pleasure. This is something I enjoy doing. I like showing you guys how I make my minis, hoping that you can make stuff for your tabletop too. So I don't know if I want to mix the two, but I will gladly plug my business on the YouTube channel. So I'll see you next time. This has been a lot of fun. I'm really happy with my Lizardfolk. Let's hold him up next to a standard, this is just a WizKids little Elven Alchemist guy, half-elf Alchemist guy. So scale-wise, he's definitely still size medium, but he's a little bigger and meaner than a half-elf. And that's just, you want an intimidating foe on your table. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.